Hey everybody, welcome to this video on the therapeuticdrumming.net website. I'm so pleased and honored to be here with a good friend of mine and wonderful percussionist, Christo Pellani.
Thank you, Kalani. It's great to have the opportunity to sit with you and talk about drumming and healing. And appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Christo and I have worked together for years, and he does a million different things. We both do a lot of stuff, right? Different things. But in this video, you know, he was telling me about some of the specific rhythms that he uses, different ways he uses sound in like a sound healing practice. Christo's also a certified sound healer, in addition to being a drummer and percussionist and musician in general. So we're just going to share a little bit of that with you guys.
Great, yeah. Well, as you know, the drums are pretty diverse. You know, the way people use them in different types of settings for healing and things. And as we've gone through various cultural ways of using drums, I've kind of arrived at this very interesting and simple way of using them in a system that I learned a number of years ago, where there's these 7 rhythms that are played with a mallet and a drum in a way where anybody can play. If they have no drum experience at all, the rhythms are so simple that it allows everyone to kind of get into the flow of the rhythm very quickly and as a group. So the idea is to play the rhythms in a unison way with a group of people. And each of the rhythms has a certain intention, and it has a certain kind of, I guess you would call it, journey aspect. So it's, in a way, they're related to a classic Native American teaching, which is called the medicine wheel life teachings, where the different rhythms are associated with different directions, and they have various other concordances with them, like power animals and energy essences and developmental stages of life and colors and that type of thing. So what I've discovered in using them is that people have this very personalized journey when they, you know, get involved in this type of drumming. But within the system of drumming, we've noticed that there are certain rhythms that actually have a little more, a deeper context for healing and for people to get into more of a sense of personal discovery, wellness, transformation, whatever you'd like to call that. And so I've kind of coined these rhythms, rhythms within that system as the intentional rhythms for wellness. So when we use those, the intent is to use them in a way where people are in a situation where they'd like something to change in their life, or they'd like to relax more, or they'd like to learn how to meditate more with using drums as a way of offering that support. So the intentional rhythms for wellness then become a little subset of rhythms inside the 7 directions rhythms.
Okay.
And what I've learned is that when people coordinate their breathing with the actual rhythm itself, then there's a deeper aspect of what happens in the somatic, in the body-oriented information that's revealed.
Sure.
People have a much deeper either relaxation response or energization response or a meditative response, depending on what kind of rhythm we're playing. So this breathing part is a little tricky for people at first, because, you know, playing a rhythm is one thing, and then coordinating your breath with it,
Sure.
as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But because the rhythms are so simple, it gives us an opportunity to kind of make that a little bit user-friendly in that way.
Okay.
So
can you walk me through, maybe I could be the client,
okay.
and just as an example of one of the modalities, one of the rhythms for one purpose, right? Because I know you said it can be for energy, it can be for relaxation, it can be for meditation. So,
exactly.
And that, of course, depends on what that person needs, right?
Exactly.
At that time.
Exactly. So if we were, say, for example, if I was working with you in some way where you wanted to have a deeper relaxation response, then I could use this drum, or I could use this drum, which actually has a little bit more of an actual heartbeat sound.
And I'm actually feeling that in my legs.
And you're feeling it, yeah.
Like just physically.
Exactly. So people can be sitting close to the drum, and they can feel the vibration of the drum.
Yeah.
There are ways that you can also use drums like this to kind of drum around somebody's body and their energy field, being very careful that we're not, blasting them with
Right.
with the energy of the drum because it's very powerful. But the heartbeat, for example, is a rhythm that is really disarmingly simple. We find this in just about any indigenous culture. But there's something very curious and interesting about the heartbeat. And so I'll ask you, as I do this with you, to tell me which one of these heartbeats that I'll play for you seems to be the one that is the most resonant with your own heart in your chest, in the organic way of the way the heart actually beats. So let's go through that just for a second. So say we did a little bit of a setup for a relaxation response, and help you get into a deeper way to relax. So the first thing I'd like to ask you is, if you listen to this heartbeat, which one do you think is more in tune with the way the actual heartbeats listen? Or is it this one?
So is this my perception or just a feeling, or am I going to check my heartbeat?
Well, it's an actual depiction of how the heart beats.
I
It's
feel
an actual replication in a sense where it is connected to actually how the heart actually
Oh,
beats.
okay. Well, that's an interesting question then. Now I feel like I'm not sure, but I feel more of an affinity, just personally, I gravitate more towards the triplet feel.
The second one.
The second one.
Right, right.
Bum, 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 bum.
With one rest in between
Yeah,
as compared to
one,
two.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so you're feeling something here that I think is really important in this what we call diaspora of these rhythms, where they're either counted in groups of 3 beats or counted in 4. All of these intentional wellness rhythms are counted in groups of 3. And the reason being, if you look at the geometry of it, the 3 is a triangle, so it actually has more flow and gets back to the beginning of the rhythm faster, whereas a 4 beat has more of a square.
Right.
So, when you're looking at something that's round and organic and feels a little bit more, in the body, a natural feeling, then we're working more readily with rhythms that are in 3 beats. Now, you notice I have a little rattle inside of this. And the rattle is kind of a useful tool for people who are drumming to kind of create more of a deeper trance, almost, I guess you would call it. In the classic rhythms of the shamanic practices, of ancient practices, when people were using the drum and rattle together, this combination of these 2 sounds helped to put people into an altered state of consciousness. So I can also do the heartbeat with my hand if I want to, not have the rattle sound. So now the next step to this process, now that we've discovered this 3-beat heart, there's actually a way that you can put your hand over your heart if you like, and close your eyes. Maybe your left hand would be a little more.
Yeah,
there you
either
go.
one.
And then the way to work with the breath is to take a breath in after 2 and then a breath out. So it'd be like this. I could guide you like this. Breath in, breath out. In, out. In, out. In, out. And then just self-regulate it. In, out. Now if I want to go a little deeper, in, slow the rhythm down, out, breath in, breath out, and then just say to yourself, breath in, out. And then just continue to breathe in that same fashion. And then whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. And for our purpose of just this demonstration, you can see how quickly you drop into this place.
Yeah.
And then when the synchronization of the breathing, when the drum finishes playing, the breathing continues in this rhythmic fashion. You can stay for as long as you like. And you'll notice that it starts to become very wonderful, the feeling of breathing in and out in this synchronized way. So you'll notice that I also slowed the rhythm down over a period of time. And one of the ways you can do this is gradually bring the rhythm down. You don't have to do that, of course, but it's a nice way to kind of deepen it so the breathing becomes even more deep as it goes.
Yes, and I felt that immediately when you did slow the rhythm down. I needed to pace because we're synchronizing.
Yeah.
So it gave me a chance to really feel the breath even more, but also deepen it.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm taking more time.
So this is actually, in a sense, a mindfulness practice because it brings you, first of all, it brings you into the awareness of your breathing in a way that's extraordinarily powerful, in the present moment awareness of your breath. But it also, the synchronization of it, the rhythmic synchronization of it, creates this other sort of inflow and outflow that has this other response that's quite remarkable. So that's an example of me actually applying that rhythm. Now, if I was working with you as a drummer and you wanted to learn that rhythm, of course, you could take this particular drum, for example, and a mallet. And of course, I have other ones that don't necessarily have the rattle, but for our purposes today, we have the one with the rattle. And so we would learn the rhythm very simply just by playing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And then you would play along. And then the idea would be to kind of get very familiar with this, so it's very simple and easy for you. You don't have to think about the rhythm at all. So it's kind of think but don't think.
Yeah.
Concentrate but don't concentrate.
And I could see where if somebody was new to drumming, they would need a lot more support and guidance.
Exactly. So even though this is still very simple, when somebody adds the breath to it, it starts to go, the head starts to get in there. So the idea is to get into the feeling as quickly as possible. The feeling and create the feeling of the drum actually connecting to your heartbeat. And so then you figure, okay, now the next step is to take the breath. So you think, okay, how are we going to do this? So it's breathe in and breathe out.
That feels like a really natural place.
Breathe in and breathe out. So for every two cycles, breathe in and breathe out. So this is how you guide someone to do it. And then the next step is to close your eyes and to just kind of get into the feel. Say it to yourself. And so I'll guide it for a moment out. In, out. Like that. So then, you self-regulate as you go. And then as we slow down, then it's just listening a little deeper and doing a deeper coordination. Like that. So that's how we would teach someone to do it. I would sit with them and actually take them through it in exactly that manner.
Yeah.
So this is probably one of the most popular ones because, we're living in a stressful environment. I mean, everyone knows that stress is a major cause of what we know as various types of diseases and illnesses in our culture. And so this gives someone a very organic way to connect with rhythm, connect with something organic in their own body, this primordial heartbeat rhythm, and be able to use it in a way where you can move the rhythm around tempo-wise so that you can deepen the breath to even cause a deeper relaxation. And whenever you feel like stopping, you just stop and then you stay with the breathing for as long as you feel is necessary for yourself. And I'll tell you, it doesn't take long, a couple of minutes.
Right.
It's astonishing how quick it works.
Oh, it does. I've got to say, when Christo was guiding me in the first example, I immediately went into this place of just feeling relaxed and just cradled, in this rhythm, which is really nice. It's nice to have somebody do that for you.
Right.
And hold you in that, and then
holding the space for it.
Holding the
So all
space.
you have to do is
beat.
Just breathe and relax.
Yeah, breathe and relax. And that's such a nice thing, kind of a gift, to give somebody else or to give yourself.
Or to give yourself, exactly. Yeah. And so, again, the beauty of it is how simple it is. Mm-hmm. And usually someone who has very rudimentary or even no drumming skills can get this pretty quickly,
Yeah.
So that's one of the examples of the intentional rhythms. Some of the other ones are they're a little busier in terms of the rhythm structure to them, and so the breathing is a little faster as compared to that one. So if you want to get into more of an even state of meditation, where it's not energized, not super relaxed, but just a nice calm, I guess what you would call an alpha state, where you're clear and alert but relaxed.
Yes.
Then there's a rhythm for that. And then one, if you want to add more energy to your body and increase the sort of physical energy in a way where the breathing adds more prana, more life force into the body, then there's a rhythm that can help supplement that. So I found that these are really effective. I mean, I was, always interested in understanding how breath and meditation and breathing, which is a big important part of yoga and qigong and all of the other aspects of passive martial arts and meditation practices, the breathing is such a central piece. And all the mindfulness teachers use this idea of breath as a very effective portal to the present moment.
Right.
So when you do this combination, it really seems to deepen it for people.
Absolutely.
Especially when they're interested in drumming in the first place.
Exactly. Because it brings in that musical element. And I was just thinking, this is such a perfect example of therapeutic drumming, because we know that what makes therapeutic drumming different from just drumming is this is a great example of that, because it's the purposeful, intentional use of a drumming experience to have a positive shift. And in this case, it could be relaxing, like using the heartbeat rhythm to prepare for sleep, right? Or to relax after a stressful workday when you get home.
Exactly.
Right?
In any number of situations where relaxation is
where you want to relax,
kind of a requirement almost. And there's lots of different ways that people now, as in the way that we live today. And the other thing I think also is the resonation with the actual physical body, the actual heartbeat itself, which is pretty powerful, to create this visualization and this intentional energy that actually has an organic response in the body. So for all those reasons, I think it's been something that has been profound, and really powerful for people to learn how to do this, or to just receive it.
Right. Either way.
Yeah, either way. It works.
The other aspect, and I just want to bring this up because of this drum, and those of you that are looking, maybe you can tell us a little bit about these instruments, because there are a lot of drums on the market these days, of course, but I'm also a big proponent and fan of craftsmanship. And the fact that somebody made this drum, right? And I can tell there's a lot of love, that goes into the craftsmanship of this rattle, this drum, right? It's not just about making the sound, but when you pick this up, and I don't know if people can see the back, but I mean, this is just. Can you talk a little bit about these instruments?
Sure, of course. This particular drum is unique because of the octagonal shape of it, and just in the folkloric or the spiritual folklore of the culture of using drums as a way for healing in the Native American culture. This is a drum that signifies, in a way, it signifies the representation of the directions of the medicine wheel. So we have the four cardinal directions here: east, south, west, and north. And then the eagles that are flying in the four other directions are what they consider to be the corners of the universe. So you have nearly a circle here in this octagonal shape, the geometry. In our system, we're using the 7 rhythms, which has the 4 cardinal, and then there's an earth rhythm, a sky rhythm, and then the heartbeat. So there are 4 what are known as cardinal directions, and then 3 what would be called more esoteric or more for personal journey work in the literally in the shamanic sense, the altered state of consciousness idea. So this particular drum was made in Taos, New Mexico, and I'm not sure that the company's still in existence. It's called All One Tribe at the time. And what's cool about it is it has a little mitten in the back, so when you put your hand through it, you can just hold the drum without any stress in your hand.
And it's very comfortable.
It's very comfortable and it's very mobile. So if you're moving around, using the drum in a way like this, it's modular. The feather is just something that I put on that was given to me by a ceremonial leader, and that's just a little artistic piece on my end, but
and personalization.
Yeah. And the rattle, same thing. I got this rattle at a powwow ceremony. It was made by Navajo craftsmen. You can see it has beautiful fur and leather pieces and beadwork on it, and just a leather handle. And what I did is I just took a mallet, a beater, and I just took some gaff tape and taped it so we have the two happening together.
Yeah.
And as I was mentioning earlier, in a lot of the rhythms of the altered state rhythms, or the shamanic drumming rhythms, the classic ones, the rattle is a very powerful part of that idea. Yeah. So this continuous rattle and rhythm together creates a deeper state of relaxation, or it facilitates the altered state of consciousness. So just to go into one of the other rhythms for a moment, in some of the other rhythms that we were talking about within that system, there's one that's kind of like, I like to think of it as a one-size-fits-all healing rhythm, and it's actually known as the rhythm of the earth. And it sounds very similar to what you would see in the movies when cowboys would be riding, and all of a sudden you'd hear this rhythm, and the Indians are coming.
Right, the stereotypical.
Yeah, the stereotypical
powwow
thing,
rhythm,
which actually is a rhythm that is known as a thank you rhythm. It's this one. So this means thank you. So when the Indians were coming, they were saying thank you.
Thank you.
It's an interesting thing. So this one is slightly different, but it has a little pause at the end. So it's. So if somebody's experiencing a trauma of some kind, or maybe they're upset about something emotionally, could be any number of things that are happening, or an affliction of some kind, more of a psycho-emotional thing. Obviously, we're not going to be able to work with something that's happened in the physical body. I mean, there are a number of ways that you can use vibrational healing to help move energy in the body, to help things that might be in the body. But if somebody has a physical affliction, this is not going to be the most effective treatment for it. This is more something to get somebody to kind of do a visualized guided journey if they're in a psycho-emotional place where they might need support. So you can also use this rhythm and drum over the body. Somebody has, and I'll just give you a demonstration. Close your eyes and just see how much energy comes off that drum, and can move it in different parts around the body, over the chakra points. Or if somebody knows that their stomach is tight for some reason, or they've been nervous about something, you can just drum over that area of the body. And again, keeping a good distance between the drum and the body so that there's not too much energy, or even above the head. So you can feel a lot of energy coming off that drum.
Yes.
And we're not playing hard or loud, but it's a consistent, intentional rhythm that surrounds the body with this warm, beautiful, supportive energy, and it helps people to kind of move through something and assist them. And of course, there are, and I think you know this from some of the research in drumming, that one of the things that they found in the research with Barry Bittman and his crew that did this research about the actual healing aspects of rhythm in drum circles and things, or the guided visualization part of it that goes along with the drumming, where people are given an opportunity to go into a place of peace and quiet.
Right.
And this type of visualization practice is very effective with a consistent, simple rhythm like that.
So you would, and we're not doing that here, obviously, but you would then use this as the foundation and then add in the guided visualization cues on top of that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll be moments where it's just drumming, And then there'd be moments where we would bring some type of visualization component and a breathing component and allow someone to kind of be in that energy for a moment.
Right.
And then allow the drum to keep carrying that sort of on the wind. And then allow them to integrate what is given in the visualization and then go back to the drumming. So it kind of goes back and forth between the actual guided visualization and the drum support. You know?
Okay. So what would be, and there, again, this depends on the individual because it's
Exactly,
a personalized thing. It's not prescriptive in that you can say, if you do this, this is going to happen, right? It's just, you're creating an opportunity for somebody to, what it sounds like from what you're saying is you're creating an opportunity for somebody to have some visualizations so they can realize some more information about what might be happening in their body, in their psychosomatic experience, right?
Exactly.
So it might then reveal something, or they might have an aha moment of, oh my gosh, I was feeling this tension because of, now I understand why, or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the idea. And I think also what I am particularly interested in are giving people techniques where they can do their own what would be called self-healing. So the idea that there's information that's contained in the body and in the energy field, emotional energy, thought forms, etc. There's a lot of research that's showing this in the biofield, what is known as the biofield, that contains a lot of information about our wellness.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times people, you can't really get to it through the mind, though. If you're thinking about it, a lot of times, the mind won't give us that. But we can get to it through the heart, and we can get to it through other ways of breathing and relaxing, and then information sort of comes to people. So the guided visualizations are a way to give people a little bit more of a technique where they can access this stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
And in addition to that, the idea that that this continuous rhythm, this continuous repetitive simple thing creates the sort of altered state of consciousness that gives people opportunities to access this sort of gateway of, in a sense, is quantum information that's out there, that is available, but it gives people a gateway to get to it in an accessible way, and something they can do for themselves.
Yes.
So in the same way that this rhythm is being played for you, as the heartbeat was, people can learn how to do this on their own, or listen to a recording of it if they just want to relax their body. But the idea of this somatic piece, what's internalized in the body, and the visualization component, which often what I refer to as, deepening your internal landscape, where people will say, well, I can't see colors, and I don't know how to do this. Or so they can overthink something about visualization. It can sometimes seem abstract, but often it's, if you can just feel into it, if you can start with the feeling nature, then something might show up, or it may not be as vivid as a colorful landscape, but people can have a memory about something, and they can go there.
Yes.
So part of it is also going back and reframing memories,
right,
and helping to create a new scenario where you literally virtualized a new scenario. You breathe into it, you feel it in your body, you might even move a certain way to kind of create a new way of reframing the story.
Right, that is so important. Powerful. It's really powerful and really huge, and like you said, something that people can do for themselves when they have the tools.
Exactly.
It's a
a
wonderful
simple
tool.
technique, a couple of practiced sessions, guided sessions, taking some notes, kind of working with it a little bit with the process. And then people, I see how to do it. And then it's just like anything, it's just putting it into practice.
Right, doing the practice. And I just want to reiterate for anybody who's watching this is not like woo-woo mysticism thing. These are very simple things that are very accessible, that some of which is based in or connected to Native American practices, or maybe Tibetan practices, different codified systems that are traditional. But I would say that while there might be a tendency for some people to want to go down that path and study that route, it's not necessary. As long as you're respectful, of people's traditions, you can use this drum that is a Native American style drum, but you can use it for your own practice, right, in your own way.
Exactly, yeah, and that's a very good point. This is not limited to any dogma about a cultural expression or these images, and this particular tradition is fantastic. And of course, it's worked for hundreds of thousands, of years for many people. And I think you're right. Just being respectful of it, treating it with dignity, in a way where it's just a tool that we use. We're not pretending to be Indians. We're not,
Right.
But we're honoring this tradition. And in a similar way, the classic I would call shamanic drum rhythm, which is this continuous rhythm. This is found in all over the globe. It's in Mongolia. It's in South America. It's in Native American practice. It's in many indigenous cultures, the rattle and the drum. And literally what it does is it creates like a brainwave state that allows people's consciousness to connect with that brainwave, that certain cycle per second that creates the opportunity to experience the deep, natural, altered state of consciousness, which helps that visualization process very much. Helps
Absolutely.
deepen that.
I think getting back to what you were saying about the mind, I have my own teachings that I put in my Evolve podcast about mindfulness, and we can talk a little bit about mindfulness. But one thing that I think is important to realize is that it's difficult to think yourself well, when in fact the thinking, everybody knows this, especially in societies where we are more privileged, we have more free time, we have more disposable income, disposable time, that we often think ourselves into a state of stress. And to think that we can think ourselves out of a state of stress is naive and probably...
Right. Well, it's kind of like the classic adage, the way that you create the problem is not the way that you solve it.
Exactly.
So I think what we've learned in all types of meditation practices that have been integrated into wellness programs is that the relaxation response is very key. Finding a way to use the breath or some way to calm the center, calm the senses, so that everything is much more relaxed and internal. And then from that way of being, you can create, passageways to get to the information that will help you. So again, I think and one of my teachers said, you can't get to your heart through your mind, but you can get to your heart through your body.
Through your body.
So if we work with ways of accessing energy in the body, we have a better chance.
Yeah.
And these are things that are simple, actually very simple, and easy to remember, and can be applied on an ongoing basis once people know the techniques.
Yeah. And it's fun, and it's
fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's musical.
It's musical.
So it has that angle to it, which also is for those of us who have been playing a while as drummers. This is another adage that we can work the musical, in a sense, recreational music as well as a healing component together, so that it deepens that process for somebody to feel like they're actually playing music as well. So it gives it that extra, bonus.
Yeah, because then you could take this as an individual practice to start with, or maybe it starts off as a receptive practice, right? So you go, I come to you.
Receive it at first, right?
Yeah, and you play the drum. And then over time you teach me how I can play the drum. And I still do it for myself. But then maybe over time I feel confident, and then I go play with other people.
Exactly.
And then we have that whole
Or
social
you can
component.
also, I also facilitate drum circles where people learn this process. And within 20 minutes, everybody's playing these rhythms as if they'd played them all their life. They're really simple. And that's one of the beautiful things about it, is the simplicity of it. And remembering that we're playing this rhythm over and over and over again. So it's simple and repetitive, simple and repetitive. And it helps it to just become more internalized in that way. So the group effort helps to create a bigger wave of that energy. And when people are sitting in a circle, they can support each other by drumming in a very unspoken way. And it creates like this sense of community, especially when everybody's playing the same unison rhythm. It really amplifies the energy of that circle. So that's the other way that you can have the accessibility to learn these rhythms quickly and apply them in a way. And that's often called personal power practice, where you learn these rhythms and you use them for the aspects of your life where they would be applied, to actually be useful. So it's an ancient technology, really. I mean, and in a world where everything is so, digitized, computerized, etc., fast moving, information flow. This
Yeah.
this is a way to, even this approach slows you down.
Right.
You know, just to sit here with a drum that looks like this, and to feel the energy of these instruments, it just that in itself slows you down, brings you to a place where you start to relax. You know?
Absolutely true, and that's what I appreciate about this. And just, you know, as we begin to close this, and this is so fascinating, I'm going to ask you where people can find out more in a second.
Sure.
But you know, drumming has unfortunately been stigmatized by society in a lot of ways. And a lot of people will sort of, it's been marginalized or kind of painted with this view of being crude or being primitive or being, you know, just frivolous or something. And what we're finding now is that actually these practices have stayed, they've been around a long time, and they can be practiced in a way that is completely applicable and relevant, you know, to people's lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So
You're right. It takes the stigma out of it. It just becomes another holistic way of getting to know who you are. You know, and also getting to connect with other people. In a beautiful unspoken way. When we do these circles, everyone's playing with their eyes closed, and the rhythm is so powerful. You can hear people are listening in a different way. So it deepens all of these aspects. It deepens our listening, our visualization, our breathing, our awareness of ourselves, how we can express ourselves, how we can use musical approach, and to do something on these ancient instruments that honors a tradition that's been around for thousands of years. You know, it's not a shiny object. You know, it's not the flavor of the month. But it does have extraordinarily powerful ramifications, that's for sure.
You know, just one thing to add in, if I could interject, I've also, and not to say you shouldn't use technology. I mean, I have a smartphone. We all have smartphones. But I've got to say that, you know, the internet, smartphones, iPad, you know, all these devices, I don't know how much they've really done in terms of bringing people together. It seems to me that what they do more than bring people together is actually separate people into their own little spaces and their own little head spaces. When you go out and you'll see people at a restaurant, you see kids on their, with the screen face, I call it, with that little glow. This is a way to undo some of that and to actually where people show up and have, you know, an authentic experience.
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah. Again, you know, I think technology is going to be around, and in the medical field and in research of various types, it's been incredible what we've learned. You know, this is another way. This is just a way. You know, it's not necessarily something that everyone would want to do, but people that are interested in drumming sort of gravitate to this, especially if they're interested in their own self-healing or wellness, or in assisting people who, you know, might need that support, you know. But my feeling is if it helps you get into the body, it helps you access energy inside your body, then that's immediately a gateway to something that works. We just know this works. It's one of the reasons why yoga and qigong have been so effective for thousands of years, and that it's becoming more popular as people just know, I feel so good after I do yoga, or I feel so good after I do qigong, or you know, balanced and centered. And what's beautiful about this system is how simple it is. So you don't have to know anything about drumming, and within a couple of sessions you've got it, and then you can apply it to yourself and with other people. So it gives it that wonderful piece.
I think it's a very simple, to me it's a very simple formula. You know, it's not magic, although it can feel magical, especially afterwards. But just to follow up on what you said, if you try it, and this is the key, you got to try
it.
You got to try it. Experience it, then decide for yourself how you feel. But to me, the formula is pretty simple. It's just that I know that I call it having too much mind. If you're having too much mind, your mind's always trying to solve problems for you. That's really what it's for, mostly. And then if you don't have problems, it starts making up problems to solve, because it wants to help you, it wants to be useful. What I find that this does is it is the drumming, both on a somatic level and on the auditory level, is it gives your mind enough to kind of say, okay, just be there. You don't have to be trying to fix my life right now. You don't have to try to fix everything. You don't have to worry about solving all the problems. And just hang out with this rhythm. And so it gives your mind enough to occupy it without taxing you
Right.
so much that you have anxiety.
Exactly, and that's
Right.
that was where when I was saying before, think but don't think, concentrate but don't concentrate.
Right.
It's like
Right.
you just think enough to get what's going on, and then you go into feeling
Yes.
as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And allowing the accessibility to this other stuff. So, but what's beautiful is it does allow people of either gender to get together and play and connect in a sort of a safe and non-spoken way, in a supportive way.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful thing to see how the rhythm culture has blossomed, both
Yeah.
with men and women, and together. You know?
And cross-generational. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
So it is something that everybody can try, everybody can participate in fully, and it can become a personal practice that turns into a partner practice or a small group practice or a large group practice. Well, we could go on and on. Christo, I want to thank you so much. This is
My
fascinating.
pleasure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and so just, let people know how they can reach you
Okay.
and learn more.
Well, the website is www.soundformation.com. There's a lot of information there, articles on drumming and wellness. I have a life coaching practice also where we use drumming and some of these mindfulness practices in there. Of course, there are all the social media parts, but if you get on that website, it'll take you to the Facebook and the Reverb Nation and Twitter pages where some of these events are being posted. I do have a couple places that I play quite regularly, a couple of wellness centers, and I work with a couple nonprofits where we're working with children. And so all that information is on that website. And again, I think the Therapeutic Drumming website is also going to have quite a few wonderful resource links and things there. So I'm encouraging you to stay in touch with Kalani also and stay connected to this important new website that we're creating that's going to give people an opportunity to not only learn about drumming but to participate and get involved. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Yeah.
My pleasure. So whether you are curious, whether you've never done this before, or you have some experience, or you're a teacher or a facilitator and you want to share what you do, come to the website, join the conversation, see what other people are doing. We're all there to share. It's completely free, and it always will be, therapeuticdrumming.net. All right, we're going to go back and do some heartbeat rhythm right now. We'll see you guys next time.